Good evening. I'm Rohit Sharma and welcome to Desi From DC, coming to you every night from heart of Washington. From Capitol Hill to Raisana Hill, we connect the dots between what happens here in Washington and how it echoes back home in India. We begin tonight with the biggest stories of the day. The US Supreme Court hears arguments on Trump tariffs a day after GOP gets dropped in elections. Trump urges end to shutdown, calls to nix the filibuster. Zohran Mamdani makes history in New York City. Exit polls reveal Mamdani's winning formula. Philippines braces for monster typhoon, and Ramaswamy admits GOP defeat. Laumer's Islamic takeover comment ignites controversy. Today, the nation's highest court is weighing one of the most significant executive power cases of the year, where the Donald Trump administration had the legal authority to impose sweeping tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEPA, by declaring trade imbalances and illicit drug flows to be called as national emergencies.
Last night, it was not expected to be a victory. It was very Democrat areas, but I don't think it was good for Republicans. I don't think it was good. I'm not sure it was good for anybody. But we had an interesting evening, and we learned a lot. You read the pollsters. The shutdown was a big factor, negative for the Republicans. And that was a big factor. And they say that I wasn't on the ballot was the biggest factor. But I don't know about that, but I was honored that they said that.
The arguments focused on two core questions. First, does IEPA's authorization for president to regulate importation permit a tariff regime of this size and scope? Second, if yes, does the statute unconstitutionally delegate legislative power to the executive, violating the so-called non-delegation doctrine and the major cautions doctrine? On the government side, Solicitor General D. John Sauer argued that Congress long ago gave the president broad emergency powers and that the tariffs have traditionally been a way to regulate imports, so IEPA covers these actions. He warned that striking down tariffs would have catastrophic consequences for the US and its national security, trade leverage, and also economic stability. Several justices voiced skepticism about the administration's argument. For example, one asked why, if the goal was to stop imports entirely, the administration did not simply impose a full embargo rather than tariffs. Others indicated concern that letting the president largely decide tariff policy could clear the path to vast executive power in trade matters. The court heard arguments today, and a decision is expected down the road, potentially by year end. Whatever the outcome, this case will reshape the boundaries of executive power, trade law, and American economic policy. Hours after voters across key states delivered major wins for Democrats, which was seen as a clear rebuke of his leadership, President Donald Trump reacted to the results, saying they weren't good for anybody. History was made in New York City in a stunning Democratic win at a time of major policy shifts. And with Donald Trump back in the White House, the Big Apple has chosen a new path. Zohran Mamdani, a Democratic socialist and city's first Muslim and Indian South Asian mayor, defeated former Governor Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Silva. He will be sworn in on January 1st, 2026. In his victory speech, Mamdani thanked New Yorkers from every corner of the city and promised bold reforms from free bus rides and affordable rent to free childcare. And he did not shy away from calling out the rich and powerful.
Central to that vision will be the most ambitious agenda to tackle the cost of living crisis that this city has seen since the days of Figueroa LaGuardia. An agenda that will freeze the rents for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants, make buses fast and free, and deliver universal childcare across our city. Years from now, may our only regret be that this day took so long to come. This new age will be one of relentless improvement. We will hire thousands more teachers. We will cut waste from a bloated bureaucracy.
But the road ahead won't be easy. With Trump threatening to cut federal funding, tensions with city's elite, and his controversial stances on Palestine and Israel, Mamdani will face serious tests from both inside and outside of New York. New York wasn't the only state celebrating Democratic victories. Virginia and New Jersey elected historic female leaders, while Cincinnati's Aftof Purewell secured re-election. These wins set the stage for the next political battle ahead of the primaries. While top Democrats like Obama, Clinton, Newsom, and Warren sent their congratulations, President Trump blamed the ballot and government failures for Republican losses, and House Speaker Mike Johnson warned of a nationwide consequences under what he described as a true extremist and a Marxist. Moving on, Zohran Mamdani has been vocal critic of both Washington and New Delhi. His win has obviously thrilled progressives, but it has also alarmed India's power circles. With Khalistani voices like Gurupantwan Singh Pannu active in the city, the question is, will Mamdani's rise give them space to grow or simply redefine dissent in a changing in America? Our next report tells you more.
New York City has made history again, but this time it's not Wall Street, it's City Hall. Zohran Mamdani, a self-avowed socialist, is the new mayor, and this victory, it's sending shockwaves far beyond Manhattan.
A moment comes but rarely in history, when we step out from the old to the new.
On November 5th, American political landscape got a jolt. From New York to Virginia and New Jersey, voters delivered a resounding message. The Trump era is under fire. Trump, as expected, remained defiant. He blamed the ongoing government shutdown and claimed he wasn't even on the ballot. But here's the reality. His approval ratings have hit historic lows. According to CNBC, Trump's disapproval ratings rose to 52%. Mamdani's rise isn't just political, it's cultural. Conservative critics, both in the US and India, reacted with fury. Social media was ablaze. WhatsApp groups simmered. The usual anti-India rhetoric resurfaced. Why? You see, Mamdani refused to disown his identity, his Muslim faith, his leftist convictions, his unapologetic critique of global politics. He challenged the modern minority stereotype and brought earnestness back into political discourse. He also went on to say at one point that when he is elected, he would order for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to be arrested by the New York police. Mamdani's domestic agenda in New York, affordable housing, public services, tenants' rights, is crystal clear. But his stance on India has ruffled feathers. He has criticized Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government for promoting exclusionary visions of India. For the Indian establishment, Mamdani's election is not a friendly signal. His policies may be local, but his worldview, it's global, progressive and independent. But Mamdani's victory also intersects with more complex global dynamics. New York City is home to Gurpatwant Singh Pannu, the New York-based Sikh separatist leader advocating for Khalistan through his group Sikhs for Justice. Pannu and his organization continue to actively promote the Khalistani cause, which is banned in India. While Mamdani himself doesn't endorse Khalistan, the city's progressive politics and diverse leadership create an environment where such movements can maintain visibility and organization. You see, the concern for New Delhi is under Mamdani. The city's liberal policies and diverse governance structure will give the Khalistani movement the space to operate openly and grow. This creates a nuanced picture. On one hand, Mamdani focuses on progressive domestic issues, affordable housing, public services, and tenants' rights. On the other, his outspoken criticism of PM Modi's government and India's exclusionary policies puts him at odds with New Delhi. Combine that with the presence of the Khalistani movement under leaders like Pannu, and New York emerges as a city where local governance, international activism, and diaspora politics collide. So now we have a Muslim mayor in a post-9/11 New York, unapologetic, progressive, critical of global power structure, rising amid a wave of democratic wins. The real question now is, can this momentum carry Democrats through 2026? Will the Khalistani movement in New York get louder? And how will the coexistence of progressive leadership and diaspora movements like Khalistan reshape the political landscape in New York and beyond? With Rudishish Kanjlal, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
According to NBC exit polls, Mamdani captured exactly half of both male and female voters, a remarkable balance in a city known for sharp gender divides in politics. But his real strength came from where his campaign began, the grassroots. Among minority communities, his support surged. He dominated the Asian voters with 62%, Hispanic and Latino voters with 52%, and Black voters with an overwhelmingly 57%. White voters, meanwhile, leaned slightly towards former Governor Andrew Cuomo, 46% to Mamdani's 45%. But when the numbers are grouped, the story becomes clearer. New York's increasingly diverse, non-white electorate, now roughly half the city, carried Mamdani across the finish line. Among non-white voters, Mamdani held a commanding 56% lead compared to 37% for Cuomo. The 19-point gap reflects not just policy alignment, but identity, a shared sense that Mamdani represented the city's working class and multi-ethnic soul. Curtis Silva, the Republican candidate, struggled to gain traction, failing to cross 10% in most boroughs. And while Eric Adams remained on the ballot after his withdrawal earlier in the fall, his impact was negligible. The race ultimately was a test between two New York visions: Cuomo's centrist legacy and Mamdani's progressive uprising. Early turnout data shows that younger voters and first-time voters made the difference, groups that historically set out local elections. They did not this time. This race saw one of the highest youth turnouts in recent city history, especially in the precincts across Brooklyn and Bronx. New York has always been called the city of dreams. But for Zohran Mamdani, it is also the city of change, a place where history does not just repeat itself, it's rewritten from the ground up. New York mayor-elect Zohran Mamdani brought Bollywood energy to New York politics, vibrant colors, dramatic poses, and Amitabh Bachchan dialogues. The result, a historic landslide victory. Here's how the son of filmmaker Meera Nair just rewrote American politics with pure filmy flair. Here's a report by Debangna Datta.
New York City just elected its youngest ever mayor, and he celebrated with a Bollywood soundtrack. That's right, while most American politicians blast classic rock or pop hits at their victory parties, Zohran Mamdani went full filmy. The title track from the 2004 blockbuster Dhoom pumped through the speakers as supporters erupted in cheers. This wasn't Mumbai, this was Manhattan. And it was absolutely perfect. But here's where it gets interesting. Mamdani did not just celebrate with Bollywood, he campaigned with it. Remember those classic Hindi film posters? The ones with bold dramatic lettering and colors so vivid they practically jump off the wall. That's exactly what Mamdani's campaign looked like. His designer Anish Bhupati revealed the secret. Zohran mentioned Bollywood posters as an inspiration and even sent a couple over. The result? Campaign posters in royal blue, cranberry red and marigold yellow. A custom font inspired by vintage Hindi cinema. That gorgeous Z alone, lifted from a typeface called Boheld, became instantly iconic. As Bhupati puts it, we weren't going to shy away from looking different. We want to play into the identity of being South Asian. But the real magic? The campaign videos. Mamdani took one of Bollywood's most iconic scenes from the 1975 classic Diwar. In it, Amitabh Bachchan's character boasts about his wealth. Today, I have buildings, property, a bungalow, bank balance, a car. What do you have? The classic response? I have my mother. But Mamdani's video cuts that off. Instead, we see him, arms spread wide, in full Shah Rukh Khan pose, smiling directly at the camera. And his answer? I have you. Meaning the voters, the people. It's brilliant political messaging wrapped in pure Bollywood drama. And he didn't stop there. Campaign videos featuring Om Shanti Om, references to Kurz, famous Bollywood dialogues reworked to explain ranked choice voting. Because nothing says civic engagement quite like a masala movie mashup. Now this makes perfect sense when you know who Mamdani is. His mother is Meera Nair, the brilliant filmmaker behind Monsoon Wedding and The Namesake. The man literally grew up on film sets. Bollywood is not just inspiration for him, it's in his DNA. And it worked. Big time. Mamdani made history as New York City's first Muslim mayor, its youngest ever mayor. He defeated a political heavyweight, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, in the Democratic primary. How? By reaching immigrant and working class voters in a language they understood. Not just English or Hindi, but the universal language of Bollywood emotion. Bold colors, dramatic gestures, unforgettable music, and most importantly, heart. So what's the lesson here? In a city as diverse as New York, Mamdani proved that representation is not just about who's on the ballot. It's about how you show up, how you celebrate your identity, how you make voters see themselves in your story. He did not try to fit into the standard American political playbook. He rewrote it with Bollywood flair. And on election night, as Dhoom blasted through the speakers and Mamdani embraced his wife, artist Rama Duwaji, one thing was clear. This was not just a political victory. This was a blockbuster hit. With Debangna Datta, Bureau Report, India Today Global.
It was a big night for Democrats across America and a wake-up call for Republicans. From New York to Virginia to New Jersey, the party swept key local races in what analysts are calling a major political reset. From Mamdani's pledge to freeze rents and offer free buses and childcare, to Sharon's plan to cut utility bills and Spanberger's vow to bring down everyday costs, the message was simple: make life more affordable for working families. But for Republicans, the night brought soul-searching. Indian origin GOP leader Vivek Ramaswamy did not mince words. In a post on X, he admitted bluntly, "We got our bottoms handed to us." He said the party must drop identity politics and refocus on character and ideas. Meanwhile, Trump ally and far-right activist Laura Loomer sparked outrage by calling the Democratic wins, particularly those of Muslim candidates like Zohran Mamdani and Ghazala Hashmi, an Islamic takeover of America. Her remarks were widely condemned as Islamophobic. And that wraps up tonight's edition of Desi from DC. This is Rohit Sharma for India Today Global, and do not forget to hit like and subscribe the button before you leave. Stay tuned, stay informed, and as always, stay curious.